You are currently an author, but you were in the past a human development engineer, and that brought you around to writing your book, Septemics, Hierarchies of Human Potential. That's Septemics, Septemics. I have no idea what that is, and I'd love to hear about it. What's the deal with that?
Okay. Well, first of all, it says hierarchies of human phenomena.
Phenomena. Sorry, I wrote the wrong word. Yeah. Oh, because they both start with a P. That's what got me. Well, I'll make sure it's right in the description below. So how did that come about, and what is a human development engineer?
Okay, well, first of all, I am the discoverer of hitherto unknown phenomena, which greatly aid in the understanding of people. I'm the inventor of a revolutionary practical philosophic system called Septemics, and the author of the book you just referenced. If you'd like to find out about Septemics, go to septemics.com. Septemics.
And link in the description.
As to my qualifications, I am a polymathic intellectual whose areas of expertise include psychology, philosophy, theology, parapsychology, science, engineering, mathematics, law, literature, history, metaphysics, military science, political science, physical culture, education, organization, and music. And I hold a Bachelor of Science cum laude from City University of New York.
Nice. That is truly a polymath. I'm with you, or I was, all the way up until the mathematical stuff. I am not a mathematician, just a wizard of words. So that's nice. And that gives a very broad overview of the human condition. And I wouldn't be surprised if you've come up with some insights from that. So how do you describe Septemics to people? What does that term mean to you?
Okay. Septemics is a philosophical science based on the fact that many phenomena related to human beings occur in a sequence of 7 levels. Literally, the word septemics means of or pertaining to 7. Septemics comprises a collection of scales or sequences, each of which breaks down various human phenomena into a hierarchy of 7 steps. There are 35 such scales which span the spectrum of human experience, by which I mean there is no situation that's going to arise in the life of a human to which one or more of these scales does not apply. There are 24 scales which apply primarily to individuals and 11 which apply primarily to groups.
Very cool. So what would be an example of one scale that has 7 steps? Maybe we can kind of describe that to people. Do you have one off the top of your head?
The first scale I discovered, and the first one in the book, is what I call the scale of basic purposes. And the discovery of that scale led me to the discovery of the subject through several stages.
So how did you describe that again? I think I didn't catch one of the words. It was a scale of...
The scale of basic purposes.
Basic purposes.
Yes.
Okay. So these are the reasons one might have for taking an action or believing something. Is that kind of how it works? Purpose?
No, it's every human being has one basic purpose. In most cases, that persists for the person's entire life.
Gotcha.
Now, of course, everyone has thousands of purposes, but there's one basic purpose. And when you know either your own basic purpose or another's basic purpose, you understand that person very well without anything further, because you know what he's basically trying to do. For example, I know the basic purpose of every president of the United States as far back as FDR. Because since FDR, there's been a lot of broadcast, radio, film, TV, so it's easy to study those people. And once you know these scales, it's not hard at all to use them to analyze a person, see where the person is.
Very cool.
No, I do know the basic purpose of some presidents who are older than FDR, such as Lincoln, Jefferson, and Washington. But those are people I actually studied.
Yeah.
But some of the others, if I wanted to know, for example, the basic purpose of Millard Fillmore, I would have to study Millard Fillmore, which is, I could think of better things to do than that.
Sure.
but all of these scales are easily applicable once you know them.
So if we were to give people kind of a basic description of the 7 phases or steps of the basic purpose type scale, how does that look like? What's like 1, 2, 3, 4? Is that too complicated to describe in a verbal format? Or?
It's not complicated. I can describe it.
Fair enough.
but I don't want to make this about one scale because each of the 35 scales is unique.
Gotcha.
They are all based on natural law, meaning they all have a mathematical component to them. Although in studying the book, it doesn't feel like you're studying math, although it is referenced in isolated spots. But for me, as an engineer with a hard science background, that's what led me to realize, A, that I was into something big, B, that this was natural law, and C, eventually I realized this is a separate subject, which is actually the biggest problem in proliferating this information because, first of all, most people don't read books. Of the ones who do read books, most of them read fiction books. Of the ones who read nonfiction books, most of them are in a particular slot, meaning psychologists read psychology books, mathematicians read mathematics books, historians read history books, and so forth. Okay, this book does not fit into any pre-existing slot. All of the pre-existing slots fit into this book.
Gotcha. You're looking at kind of an overarching, all-encompassing systematic approach to understanding.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Very interesting. I would say that is very much up the alley of, where psychology and philosophy blend together, the human behavior and the why of things in general. Very cool.
Yes.
That's right up my alley. I love that stuff. I'm very much the philosophy, metaphysics, psychology guy. That's kind of how I define. It's not necessarily how I define a wizard, but it's something that one type of wizard would do, is get into those specialties and become expert in those areas to the degree they can, and have something worthwhile, useful, beneficial to share. Kind of the in my estimation, and this I tell folks occasionally, but a wizard is a very powerful archetype in human history. It's basically the wise elder that speaks magic words, communicates information, tells people things they need to know, and also has the understanding of cause and effect from a long life to say, I can tell you that's a mistake because I know what comes next. You don't want to do that. That's part of the speaking magic words, but they can see the future in that way. So very much the idea of a wizarding. I'm not summoning demons and throwing fireballs. I'm trying to speak magic words and help people see inside themselves where they wouldn't be able to see without this kind of a living mirror, so to speak. So that's my rant.
And that's exactly what Septemics does.
Yeah.
You described it perfectly. It enables you to analyze yourself and others in a variety of contexts in a way that's empowering to the individual.
Very cool.
See, I wrote this book to help people. I worked with hundreds of clients for decades as human development engineer.
Yeah, what is that?
And I have gone from helping people by the hundreds now to helping people by the millions, because this book will help anyone who can read English, who wants to improve himself or his life. I already know that. That is not a question, because I worked on this book for 25 years before I published it.
Nice.
Because as an engineer, my mandate is to produce something that works, actually works all the time. And so I got all the bugs out of this. The first transcript was finished in late 95. And I passed it around to scholarly colleagues of mine, and they were blown away by it. So I realized that I had something here. So then I started giving it to clients and friends and such. And every person who has ever read this book or discussed it with me has had a very positive response to it.
Very cool. I'm very interested in it, definitely. And I'm hoping folks out there find it interesting just to hear that this exists. That someone is, because so I'm doing the historical dream literature thing. I'm going back to all these, we say, great thinkers, and specifically in my context, these are all the publications that were released around Freud's interpretation of dreams, which kind of broke the door wide open, and hundreds of years, even thousands of years before that, everything Freud would have known to coagulate his view into something he could express, and then we can critique it afterwards, but all of this stuff, it's these great thinkers, and I've never heard of half of these people, but they were the founding fathers of, say, dream psychology that led me to my understanding today. And I'm getting even better understanding going back through their work. So to relate it to you, it's possible that if you weren't here with me telling folks about what you do, it would get lost in history. It'd be one of those things where someone like me 100 years from now would have to rediscover.